pleasure to be here tonight, have an opportunity just to kind of share a few words. I think we all would agree that it's unfortunate that we have to hold such an event. Many people, women, children, men that suffer abuse on a regular basis. So just by sheer nature of the numbers that Jack was telling us about earlier is just unreal many times. We were looking over some of the numbers just here in Warren County. In 2015, there was a law enforcement officer dispatched almost 2,000 times to some type of a call for domestic abuse or domestic violence. Some of those ended up in the criminal justice system. Many of them didn't. This year, even to date, there were over 1,400 calls for some type of domestic abuse or domestic violence that occurred. And certainly looking at the names that were on there today, we're certainly well aware of the 2 additional names that were added this year as a result of the homicide and suicide incidences. It's obviously extremely sad, extremely unfortunate that we weren't able to get to those victims early enough and provide those avenues and give them an opportunity to come out from underneath that type of abuse. I started this career in 1978, and I only say that to say that early in my career, I think many of you may know that domestic violence was really kind of handled much differently in the early part of my career, and certainly not very efficiently, and certainly much less caring in many ways to the victims and their families. The resources certainly weren't there. The attention certainly wasn't given, which we all know now, coming forward through my career, how much more awareness and attention has been given. And it's unfortunate that it's taken these efforts to get where we need to be now. And there's certainly many ways we can continue to improve. I think any of us that are in the business still occasionally sees those situations that fall through the cracks or don't get the right services to provide them an opportunity to come forward. And as we've heard in the words before, that's what we should be doing. We should be encouraging, we should be involving ourselves in many different ways in this process. The criminal justice system in many ways can be pretty cold, I think most of us know. They have a purpose, and that purpose sometimes can come across as much uncaring and just deliberate, and people get lost in that. And I know that even over the last several years of my career, there became more and more focus even in dealing with our children in the family, even though the child themselves may not have been physically abused, but they're abused in many ways emotionally as a result of what their mother or father is going through. And so it's taken a long time to get here. And there's a lot of people standing around here, I know, just seeing their faces that spend a lot of time and energy, dedicating their lives to provide those types of resources so that we can hopefully, save one, save 2, just some of them, getting them an opportunity to get out of this cycle. I know that I have certainly been fortunate enough to be around many of them that show that concern and that care. And I just appreciate the numbers here. I appreciate the attendance here, and it certainly has grown over the years. Maybe some because we've increased in victims, unfortunately, but certainly some that has gained some additional support from our community to just make sure that we are paying close attention to these situations. And on June 9th, if most of you aren't aware, June 9th, Deputy Katie Barnes responded to a domestic violence in Deerfield Township. And in addition to the victims that domestic violence creates inside their homes and inside their families, these are some of the most dangerous situations that our law enforcement men and women also respond to. And there's examples throughout our country that have, in addition to the families that have suffered loss, our law enforcement families suffer those same types of situations. And her response to domestic violence, where the individual shot his father, also shot Deputy Katie Barnes. And while physically she is recovering quite well, as many of you may know, the jury's still out yet where she's going to be emotionally and mentally as she recovers through this situation. So it hits so many people. It's widespread on these types of dangers and these types of violences. And I just hope that we can continue to grow in this support and the continued awareness, not necessarily the victims, but these groups like this just continue to grow and make sure that those families that come in contact with that type of situation in their homes know where to reach out to, know who to go to, know who to call, and have the right opportunity to get out of that. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I appreciate what many of you do. And we'll look forward to less and less people that have to go through this. Thank you very much.
I'm Pat South, one of the county commissioners, and let me tell you, there's nothing I love more than going out and talking to people about how great Warren County is. Our great communities, our safe streets, our economic status, per household, let alone as a government, being Ohio's largest playground. The list goes on. It's wonderful to talk about that. But another major responsibility to me as a county commissioner is to help lead all of our residents in understanding what Warren County's problems are also. And family violence, domestic violence is at the top of the list. It has to stop. It cannot be tolerated, and I say that with the largest exclamation point possible. Our Board of Commissioners took action on Tuesday to declare the month of October as Domestic Violence Month in this county, documenting the number of deaths that we have seen or personally experienced throughout the years, especially this past year again, more names added to the list, and the number of candles that were lit. It is a very, very genuine and sincere concern that our board has, and a commendation that we have toward the ARC's board and its staff with their leadership in helping make sure that every resident is aware what domestic violence does to our community as a whole. It doesn't happen just in homes. It's carried out into the communities where everyone goes to school, lives, works, and so it is, I will get you the proclamation, but in essence, it is awareness of proclaiming this the annual, as usual, Awareness Month.
We will look forward to receiving them. I again want to thank you all for being here. Events like this can be very somber, and we, as I mentioned earlier, it is a time where we mourn. We as staff have been very aware that October is Domestic Violence Month, and so we have been a little hyper-focused on the events taking place this month. Our inboxes have been inundated with newsletters and blogs and different things that we get from a lot of our community partners and support systems, both at the local, state, and national level. But I have to tell you that for the Abuse and Rape Crisis Shelter of Warren County, we aren't able to just focus on domestic violence in the month of October. It's all 11 other months of the year as well. And we just as much hyper-focus on those because crisis is still prevalent. It's still among us. Our shelter beds, I had to do a grant report today, and I had to report out that in 3 months, because it was a quarterly report, that there were 19 individuals who were not able to receive shelter. We have a 14-bed shelter because of capacity. I really want that phone to ring and say, man, it's been really quiet here. Come on in. I'm delighted that we have a beautiful facility that many families, women, children, predominantly can call home temporarily. But part of our mission and commission is to, once they are safe, to empower them and to bring them to a point of healing, to stand on their own and gain independence, to be able to find a safe home for their children and to have a different lens and a different perspective. Many of the people that we work with have extremely low self-esteem. They've been beaten down. And it's great joy as advocates and case managers to be able to be that support person, a system that pumps people back up and says, you were created for great things. You are worthy. You have a right to be free. There is hope. And we help them put on a different lens. So by the time they leave our shelter, we are receiving messages that declare such hope. Some leave without a speck of hope, and that saddens us greatly. But most leave with an assurance that things will be better, and should they not be, that we will continue to be here for them. Again, I want to just thank you for being here. We want to leave here tonight celebrating life, not death. The people whose lives were cut short lived. They lived life. It just happened to be a shorter life than most ever anticipated it would be. But we celebrate them. We celebrate each of your lives, and we celebrate what you're going to do differently after tonight to help stop violence within our families. I'd like you to stay put for a moment. We are going to be blessed again by the Little Miami Women's Chorale. And after that, we will go into our balloon launching ceremony. So ladies, go ahead. At the count of 3, we will launch our balloons.